Yo, everybody, we live. Um, I don't know why I don't normally do this at the beginning and just have my phone ready. Um, but anywho, hopefully everyone is having a great day. We are live. I'm going to make sure that I can see the comments. My name is Antoine Chambers, and I am a consultant, a coach, all that great stuff that people be saying that they are. I'm that. And today we're going to talk about five marketing mistakes that or five marketing mistakes to avoid. Five marketing mistakes to avoid. Now, so this list isn't an all-inclusive list, and I'm going to be drinking my little drink and talking with y'all because we're family, So we're gonna make it happen. But yeah, so five marketing mistakes to avoid. Again, there are way more mistakes, but I want to give you a semi list to help you kind of think through some stuff. But there are a lot of mistakes you can make, and not all mistakes are detrimental to your business, but some of them can lead to issues. So, the first one we're going to talk about is let me move that out the way. The first one we're going to talk about is a lack of marketing research. So, the reason you want to avoid this is because when you're about to invest money in your marketing, when you're about to invest money into products and services, into building out strategies, or even when you're about to invest in building or trying to sell your product and put it out there, if you don't do market research, you end up spending the money. Let me change my camera. Hold on. You end up, let me see if this camera is better. No, I like the camera that we have. So you end up spending money to try to sell the product, but don't understand if the product is really what your audience wants. You don't understand if the product is packaged the way that communicates their needs and wants and desires. So, in your market research stage of releasing your business, releasing your products and services, you want to understand not just what the market wants, but what you can actually effectively deliver. Let's say you're selling something and you find out that, man, we're not selling through as many units as we want. What's wrong? Oftentimes, if you do the market research before you start marketing the product, you will be able to get some answers and feedback from your potential audience to make the best decision. Now, when you get this research done, it doesn't mean that everybody that did the searching with you, or not everybody that answered your questions, will purchase, but you want valuable feedback. Not everybody that takes a survey for you will be your perfect consumer, but you want to make sure that you do some market research. You can do market research by doing small group calls. You can do Zoom meetings where you pull people on and see what they think of the product. You can do a whole bunch of things, but do market research. Figure out if what you're offering is the right thing for the market. If you don't, you'll find yourself spending a lot of money and be really in really bad shape. So this next one, another mistake to avoid is not knowing how to pitch your product. So in the market research stage, you should be getting insight from your potential audience to see what they want, what they need, and then when it comes to pitching the product, you have to be able to communicate at the level of your audience. You have to be able to tell them or let them know. Let me lower this. You have to be able to uh, communicate what the value is of your product, how it works, the features and benefits. So if and now not every product really has features and benefits, but if your product does have features and benefits, you have to be able to communicate to your audience why your product is valuable. Now, when it comes to the pitch, different people in your same target audience will need to hear different things. Like if you're selling shoes that are, better orthopedically or something, one person needs to understand, how it will fit, or if there's customizable options. Another person will need to know if it comes in different colors. So sometimes we can be pitching our products or our services and we are missing the boat because we just don't have we don't know how to address their issues, approach their issues um so that we move forward through the process. So learning how to pitch your product, and if your product is you, learning how to pitch you in a way that people be like, you know what, I see you as worth the money. I understand that you are the one to work with, or you're the one to deal with this situation, or you're the one to carry me through this. Your clients and your potential customers have to know. And if you're going to hang out with me, let me know you're going to hang out. You can post your name in the chat or just say I'm here or something. All right, moving forward. Uh, Putting all of your efforts in one basket. Oftentimes, when you're launching a product or service, sometimes the market is so tight. There's maybe so many competitors in there that you launch your product and realize that the space is so crowded that you're not making headway the way that you would like to. You're not getting the movement that you want to because all of your eggs are in that. Now, when you launch a product, when you're putting something out there, you do want to make sure that you are getting one win first and scaling. So when it deals with putting your eggs in one basket or not putting all of your efforts in one basket, you want to be careful not to position yourself to where you get beat up by the market because you do this one thing, but they need something different. And again, that goes back to our first thing about the lack of market research. So when you put your like, and I've seen so many people that will launch product lines, do all of this effort, put all of this stuff out there, and then their sales are low because it's like, yo, one, you didn't know your audience, you didn't know who was going to buy this stuff, you didn't know where to find them, you didn't know how to communicate to them because we see a lot of people doing even stuff with like Amazon and other affiliate marketing type stuff, and you see them getting sales, but oftentimes they're selling stuff that people already know about. So when you see people doing really great numbers and they're like, oh, I sold this many of this, you have to figure out how are they selling it? What were their methods? But not only what were their methods, but who was their audience, and were they able to engage their audience in a way that worked? All right, so I'm gonna move through these next two pretty quickly so that we can be out of here in just a moment. All right, so the next thing is under or overvaluing your product, and I should have put product and or service. A lot of times, people, again, going back to the original market research, when you get to this point where you get to valuing how much your product or service is worth, depending on who your market is, will kind of determine part of your price. Like if you're catering to a market that has money, you have to be able to price point or put your product or service at a price that says, hey, you know what, I'm willing to buy that because of the price. Oddly enough, a lot of people will make their buying decision because of something being expensive, because of something being pricey. They're like, oh, you know what, I think that one's better because they is sold at a higher price. Now, price is not totally indicative of what the value is, but if you can sell at to the right audience at a higher price, sometimes they gravitate to that because if it's too cheap, they're like, oh, well, I don't know if this is going to be adequate for my needs. So sometimes people feel like the more they pay, the better result they're going to get. And that's not always the case. There's sometimes where you can pay less and get more. So that's that point. So just a quick review. We went over lack of market research as number one. We went over not knowing how to pitch your product. We went over putting all your efforts or eggs in one basket. Then under or over valuing your product. The last one I want to do is just you want to avoid just following the trends. Now, trends can be a good promoter, like being able to use a trend to sell your product or using a trend to connect to a certain audience is great. But once you connect to that audience, you then have to create some value so that they become true consumers of your product. So let's say, and many entrepreneurs have been like, oh, well, there's this trend, there's this thing with TikTok, or there's this thing with Reels, or there's all these things that you can jump on, these bandwagon type things that you can jump on, and some of those are fine. But once you jump on that bandwagon, you then have to say, well, how can I keep these people coming back? Because they only came because of the bandwagon. They only came because of the trend. So how do I convert people that are with me because of a trend to be actually my future and my future clients and long lasting clients or customers? So there are a lot of things that we can do right and wrong in marketing. And when it comes to marketing, we have to get to a point where we understand that marketing is more than our website. Marketing starts before the website. Marketing is more than our social media. All of the platforms and tools we use are important, but if you don't have a plan to how to effectively use it, you're really not marketing. You're more just putting stuff out. Marketing has to deal with how you communicate your message, how you communicate to your audience so that you can get them to purchase. Now, if you are not getting purchases, that means you're not normally marketing effectively. So you can be doing all the things that you think are right, but if you're not communicating effectively to your audience, you're taking an L. And we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. Like a lot of people will see a beautiful website and be like, "Oh man, this must be great." But then, if the website is beautiful, but it's not communicating the message that your audience needs to hear, then they're not going to convert. If your post is great, or if your video is amazing, but it doesn't communicate what they need to hear to make a buying decision, then you will not get conversion. So when you deal with your marketing, you have to see what's working and what's not working. But again, as I've mentioned earlier, you have to do the market research. You have to understand how to pitch your product to those people who are most likely to purchase it. Then you can't put everything in one basket. You have to be able to diversify what you do without being all over the place. Next, we had don't under or overvalue your product. You have to figure out the right price point for the people that you're trying to talk to, the people that you're trying to engage. Because if you don't put it at the right price, you will either turn off, or most of the time you'll turn off the people that could be purchasing with you. And the last thing we talked about in our 5 marketing mistakes to avoid is just following the trend. You can ride the trend for a little while, but if your brand becomes a trend following brand, you will never be the market leader. If your brand becomes the trend following brand, it will never become the market leader. So you have to put some decision and thought and some planning into how do we release new products, how do we engage our audience, what is our email sequences, how are we keeping people engaged, because having an engaged audience um, is a audience that you can win with. So that's all I got. Well, that's all I got for today. And hopefully you will join me next time. If you need marketing advice, if you need input on your marketing, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you and see what we can do. DM me or message me or do something. Anyway, that's all we got. Lack of marketing research, not knowing how to pitch your product, putting all your efforts in one basket, under overvaluing your product, and just following trends. So thanks for joining me. I will see y'all on the next broadcast.